Entitled Karen says I know nothing about home goods because I'm a man. Many moons ago, I worked in a department store. It was a weekend contract gig while I was at university. It had departments for a variety of things, and for no particular reason, I ended up in the basement of homewares. No grumbles from me. Money, even if it was minimum wage, is money. Work was easy and my team was awesome. First week there, I recall someone saying, retail would be great if it wasn't for the customers. I was saddened by hearing that. What a morose mentality to have for a place you spend most of your waking week. It took me a few years to find out that it was 100% true. The amazing customers absolutely do not outnumber or overshadow the monsters. One thing in retail I didn't realize was how amazingly helpful a good memory is. And believe me, back then especially, I had a phenomenal memory. We had to type in dissection codes and prices into a printer for barcodes and place them on stock. I very quickly got a reputation. See, most people would remember their specialty codes. They were about 15 digits long. A few seasoned withered husks with manager name tags would remember a few other specialty codes. I had them memorized for the entire basement. 7 departments, hundreds of codes. They were formulaic per department, so once you remembered each department's formula, you just had to remember the last 4 digits per dissection. After a while of being noted for this, I got moved from cook shop, global knives, Asasi teapots, etc., into home care electronics, vacuums, pressure washers, and irons. You'd think a good memory would be helpful for printing labels. I was like a walking thesaurus on that stuff. I didn't gloat, but colleagues would use me often. Quicker to get the die-by flaw than go into an office and check the catalog or Google or something. Warrant info, user specs, power ratings, maintenance routines, I had all of it. I did enjoy the prestige. I wasn't a jerk about it either. I happened to be perfectly positioned to excel in this because of my memory. I would gladly help out people rather than salesperson them, if I could. That 900-pound machine, what would you use it for? Yeah, you could get that from this 100-pound machine instead. I didn't get commission, and I brought return customers who liked me helping them. People liked a passionate teenager helping them with all the knowledge I could muster. One woman even wrote me a letter saying she would send flowers, but didn't for the fear of upsetting my wife, if I had one. She was about 7 decades older than me, bless her heart, but I digress. Malicious compliance time. One day a woman came in. This was in the 2000s, but by today's standards, a Karen. Instant hatred of everything and everyone. My job is to help customers, so her distaste for existence and pleasure for misery really mattered? Not at all. She is picking up various different irons on a shelf, inspecting them and looking at them in depth. These things can be used in home, and some of the models we stock could be used professionally. They started at expensive and went up to crazy money. It was pretty normal and I would have to go through all of the specs for customers. If you are going to part with 249 pounds for an iron, you want to know what you are getting for your money. I get it. Anything I can do to help you, madam. She looks at me like I am a fart that has just gotten into the elevator with her. I want to buy an iron. Way to state the obvious, but the customer is always right, so I smile and go on. What type of iron are you looking for? Are you using this at home or professionally? It's for me to use. I am the woman of the household. Now, the way she stressed woman wasn't a gripe at her lot in life. It was more like when someone reminds you that this is their turf, their specialty, their baby. Hey, no problem by me. I'll see if I can help with that. No problem at all. This model here is normally used commercially, but you cannot access the water tank. Since it generates a lot of pressure, you have to buy these CalStop cartridges to prevent limescale buildup. Otherwise, the machine can break, and it won't be covered by your warranty. The benefit is it has a dry steam boost function for dresses, curtains, etc. without soaking them. By comparison, this one over here has a cartridge water chamber, which is easy to manage. However, yeah, can you get me a woman? Perplexed, I wonder what I said wrong. I needn't wait longer to find out. She saw the look on my face and went, "It's just that a woman really gets these things, you clearly wouldn't know." At this time, I'm chanting in my head, "Customer is always right, customer is always right," and managing my breathing to stay composed. "No problem, madam. Allow me to get my colleague Doreen to help you then." Now, the department was built around big pillars, irons on the east face, vacuums on the south and west face, till and accessories on the north face. So I walk over to the corner where the till is, and I got Doreen to go help this delightful woman who decided I didn't know what I was talking about. I headed around the west face to cover vacuums. Not 2 minutes later, I hear Doreen heading towards me saying, "Honestly, you need my colleague. They are the absolute expert on irons and they know so much more about them than me. They will be able to find you the perfect iron." The Karen's face as she realized it was me that she was being brought to as the expert on irons was priceless. She fumbled a quick question on the Murphy-Richards unit to justify coming back to me, and then quickly hit the escalator to get the hell away from the awkwardness she had generated. This was an amazing moment, but let me know, am I the jerk? I related to this story so much since I used to work retail and can 100% agree that retail would be just fine if there wasn't customers. I never had a problem with restocking shelves or keeping an area clean. It was having to deal with Karens that was the worst part of the job by a mile. Also, it was funny that the OP mentioned that people liked when a young, knowledgeable person spoke to them about their items. This was the same for me when I worked in electronics. I often got asked about the best TVs or office supplies from customers, and since I had a lot of knowledge with electronics, they usually left pretty happy. Retail can be a cool place to work, but the bad people can ruin that part very quickly. Entitled table guests make me cry and break down at work. So I have bipolar disorder, and it hasn't interfered with my work until this past month. I told my boss I might need some time off, and he's been incredibly supportive, and so has everyone else. Anyways, I had a 5-top table the other day, and only 2 of them were there. They had ordered martinis, and for whatever reason, the bartender was not making them. She was super slammed, so I let my table know that it was definitely going to take a minute. 10 minutes go by and no martinis. I asked her, and she says she's working on it. I go back to the table to let them know and thank them for their patience. I turn around and see I've been sat a 4-top, so I greet them and get their drinks. When I get back with their drinks, they say that they're ready to order, so I get that done. As I'm walking away to check on the martinis, which still aren't up and it's been about 20 minutes, the lady from the 5-top table comes and says, "Hey, the rest of our party is here and we're like ready, so why are you just standing around?" I apologized and went to their table. I get to the table and the other lady rudely asked me if I was good. They asked about the martinis and I said I had just heard something about the bartender running out of martini glasses. I was about to apologize again and offer them something else, or they could just wait. We should be restocked in about 15 minutes. Instead, she cut me off and said, "Why the freak wouldn't you tell us you're out of martini glasses? We've waited 30 minutes. We could have gotten something else." At that point, I just said okay because I guess she didn't understand that we needed to wash them. The lady who had just arrived with her 2 kids ordered for the 3 of them. Very simple orders that I repeated as she was telling me. After I say I got it, all she tells me is that she needs me to repeat the order because she doesn't think that I got it right. I repeat this basic order back and she doesn't respond. I got the rest of the orders and walked away. Still no martinis. At this point, I'm in the back literally starting to cry and started yelling about the whole thing. I walk out back to the bar and see the lady talking to another server asking about the martinis and saying she thinks that I'm incompetent or whatever, while I'm standing 2 feet away. The bartender is also listening and doesn't say a word. I went to the back and started sobbing and told everyone I wasn't going back. I actually had a panic attack. One of our regulars sat in the bathroom with me trying to help me calm down. In the end, my manager let me go home because I was so embarrassed by the whole thing. I had never cried at work in the 2 years that I had been there, and everyone was so supportive, but I feel so stupid for getting upset by that. But let me know, who is the jerk in this situation? This story is exactly why I told myself that I would never work in the food or service industry, because people can be the biggest, most disgusting entitled jerks on the planet. It's like just because you bring someone food that you are automatically beneath them. I couldn't work in food because rude people would definitely be getting sneeze muffins. My manager made me tip out another server 20% out of my tips, and I want to know if I'm being unreasonable. To start, I should be clear, my fiance and I are in serious financial trouble. We are trying to financially recover from some medical emergencies, moving from my fiance's job, and him getting laid off for a while due to a strike that started a month after our move. Also, I haven't been a server or bartender for very long, so I'm not sure what the norms are for tipping out. I work at a sports bar. It's been insane lately and we are extremely understaffed. So when it got crazy last weekend, my manager had our closing waitress come in a little bit early. He told me after he called her that we would tip her out. I agreed since we had the majority of the tables, but also she ended up with quite a bit as well. All of my tables came at once, so they all left pretty much at the same time. At this point, I had no tables and the closer had most of the current guests. When my manager was getting ready to leave, I asked him how much I would have to tip out the server and he said 20%. I was pretty taken aback because that seemed like a lot. On top of that, the closing waitress is new and one of my orders had disappeared. I know it was her since she closed out my checks all the time even though I asked her to come and get me. I couldn't find my customer's meal and I had to put it in when I went to go check. The order was closed and someone had paid for that bill instead of their own. I asked my manager if we could give him a discount or something and he wasn't liking the idea, so I offered to pay for it myself, which is really stupid and I won't be doing that again. It all happened very fast and right in front of the customer, and I was just trying to make a mistake right. Then to add on to that, the guy from the kitchen keeps coming up to help us bus tables and such, which is awesome, but my manager said that I need to tip him $15 to $25. I'm fine tipping the kitchen guy out when it's super busy, but he started doing this even on days when it's really slow. I would rather bus my own tables and keep my tips when it's slow on those days. I don't get much tips anyways. Plus, on 2 separate occasions, the kitchen guy took someone's meal because they went to the restroom. When they got back, they were justifiably angry that the rest of their meal was thrown away, and both times they left me with no tip. I understand why they are angry, it just sucks that I'm the one that has to pay for the consequences. So now when it's super busy, I have to babysit my tables to make sure no one is taking their stuff. So with tipping out other waitresses, paying for a patron's meal, tipping out the kitchen guy, and tipping out the rest of the kitchen as usual, I lost a lot of tips. I asked the manager if I could talk with him in his office, but he refused to have the conversation away from the bar. It was really uncomfortable because the other waitress was right there. I told him I feel like I'm losing a lot of money on my tips. When we're essentially servers, bartenders, hosts, and bussers, I feel like I've earned most of my tips. He didn't yell or raise his voice, but it definitely felt confrontational in the way he was responding. He kept saying that she did 20% of the work and kept asking questions like, shouldn't you pay people for their work? Do you honestly think she didn't do at least 20%? It felt like I was being talked down to or being blamed for something. I asked him to calm down and he immediately relaxed and was like, I'm not yelling at you, you don't know yelling. I explained that it wasn't a fair comparison because we all help each other out. I help run his food and her food when I see it in the window. I help bus both of our tables when it needs to be done, so is she going to tip me out too? Even though I was busy, I still ran her food, made some of her drinks, and bussed a few of her tables. What I'm saying is she probably did help me out a lot, but I helped her a lot too. In fact, I make most of her drinks because she's new and has never bartended before. So I don't feel like 20% is fair. I told him I would feel better about it if I wasn't also paying for someone else's meal, but he said that he was proud of me for taking accountability and that I was the one that offered. To be frank, I don't take accountability for that because it wasn't me. I was already upset from being yelled at by customers who had to wait, and also by losing so much of my tips, so I just told him that I didn't want to talk to him anymore. I was already tearing up and I didn't want to cry in front of anyone, so I just walked off. He followed me and kept trying to talk to me about it, but I was just done. I told him that I didn't appreciate how this was handled and that I didn't want to talk about it in front of the other waitress because I didn't want her to think I wasn't appreciative of her work. I was trying to walk away so I wouldn't cry, but he kept following me and wouldn't stop, and I ended up crying. To his credit, I will say that he did end up apologizing and said he will walk away to have conversations from now on, and that he really appreciates how hard I work. I let go of the 20%, but I've been home for the last 2 days and I can't stop thinking about this. I feel like it wasn't very fair and that I should have been able to keep more of my tip money. Am I being greedy? I have never asked her to tip me out for making her drinks. Also, not sure if it matters, but the new waitress is a friend of the manager. But let me know, am I the jerk? 20% does seem like a lot to give someone, on top of having to pay out a bunch of other people as well. Just another reason why I'm glad I never worked in the service industry. I know there are plenty of times that you can make a lot of money in a night, but I just think I'd rather not deal with entitled jerk customers and maybe bad coworkers too. Pizza Hut didn't want to give me my rewards. Turns out that I got an accidental malicious compliance. Settle in, I'm slightly pedantic and I can't help it. So I got nearly $32 in free Pizza Hut, but that's not the malicious compliance. I'm sharing this experience with you because they denied my request to put my free reward in a different pan and the ingredients on top of each other in a different order. I had questions, but they just turned around instead. telling me to go order it online. I complied. So it's up to you to help me be malicious. I'm sharing this with you exactly how it happened. Tonight I went into Pizza Hut and had some of the Hut rewards to cash in. About 9x points, which qualified for free breadsticks or cheese sticks at 75 point redemption. I wanted a personal pan pizza, which is the exact same ingredients, but just in a round shaped pan placed in a different order. Actually, less amount of ingredients than it would have been with the cheese sticks. Seems like a very reasonable request. So I decided to go into the restaurant and ask if I could redeem the cheese sticks with my name online, but instead of the cheese sticks to make it a personal pan pizza. I even said, you know, it's less ingredients, it's just putting them in a different pan in a different order. They weren't busy, so I proposed this to the kid at the counter. He said, yeah, that shouldn't be a problem, let me ask my manager. Well, the manager said no. The item must be redeemed for an item that you choose. The kid followed up with, you have to redeem your points online, not here at the store. Yeah, I know, but I thought maybe we could make sure that I was redeeming it properly. But he turned away and started to busy himself doing nothing. So I went to my car. As I walked back to my car, I hit the redeem on the Hut rewards for the cheese sticks. Nothing pops up. No change in the page. I assumed it would go to the previous/new page or something like that. So I hit redeem again, nothing happened. Now I'm thinking maybe I have a bad signal in the zone, which I've had happen in that area before, so I hit redeem again. And then once more. Fearing I'm going to lose my redeem points, I hit the back button. It takes me back to the main rewards page with all of the options for redemptions and locked rewards. My account balance of 9x points were still there. Good, so I didn't lose them as I thought I would have. I see in my cart that I have one item, so I click the cart and proceed with checkout. I do recall seeing cheese sticks repeated 4 times on the order page, I believe. I'm not certain, but I do remember seeing something odd. I just don't think anything of it because I don't really pay attention to those pages. I picked contactless delivery because I didn't want to go into the store again. They had to bring it to my car. A different guy, the delivery guy, comes to my window holding 4 boxes of food and I was like, I just ordered 1. I think this is kind of weird because the person that was making the food was the person I spoke with earlier. He saw my point balance when I was making the request to him, and I figured that he would know I didn't have the ability to get 4 cheese stick orders. But he went ahead and made them anyways? He must have thought it was weird before he handed it off to the guy. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit that he would be thinking that deeply about any of this. I was handed the receipt and the delivery guy said, nope, your order says 4 orders of cheese sticks. Okay then. The receipt does say 4 orders of cheese sticks. The total was $31.96. Coupon MXMXMX equals $31.36 and had a $0 balance. So I checked my points and I have like 19 points available. Those orders shouldn't have gone through. I don't have enough points to get more than 1 item, and that was the lowest tier item. I believe that clicking on the redeem button those 4 times then back to my cart without doing anything else means there's a little glitch in the programming, allowing for that item no matter how many times I pressed it to be redeemed for free. I don't have any more points to try this again. So those of you with Hut rewards, try and see if you can get multiple of the same item for free. I'm curious to know if it works for you. Maybe next time they will wait and see if I have any more questions before shutting me down. Or if they could just place the ingredients in a different pan and in a different order, I wouldn't have left with the desire to go share this with 3 million people on how to get a crap ton of free pizza from Pizza Hut. But let me know. Am I the jerk? Now, there were some interesting comments left under this post from people that have worked in fast food. To be fair to Pizza Hut, they'd be limited to only giving you what the rewards list has. No crazy modifications to make it something else. They don't care about the ingredients used, they care about corporate and management coming down hard on them if they don't follow the rules. Another commenter said this, yup, I worked at Taco Bell, same parent company as Pizza Hut, and at TB, we have to make things as listed in the system. If we make them different by putting on different toppings or making it a different way, then we can get in trouble for that. We don't know if you're an actual customer or if you're just someone from corporate doing the monthly drive-by to test if we're actually making the food correctly. So we have to make all the food the way they want us to, or we might get in trouble with corporate when they do come by and get an order made in a different way than usual. Plus, there's specific amounts of each ingredient you're supposed to use. If you use more or less, then you mess up the ingredient counts they do every day. They ordered cheese sticks, but you wanted them in a personal pan pizza. Cheese sticks have a sauce dipping cup, but you would need more sauce on the pizza. It also doesn't have as much cheese as a pizza. It's more bread, but I believe they use different doughs, and they set those aside specifically for breadsticks or pizza. So them making a pizza instead of what was ordered messes up their counts of doughs that they had prepared. They would have 1 too many bread doughs than they should, and 1 too few pizza doughs than they should. Hope that makes sense. The last commenter said, worked at a place similar to Pizza Hut. I would much rather give you what you order than smaller altered orders. I made an hourly wage, so I don't benefit from the profit from this store at all. However, I had to look at the inventory and justify all spoilage, yada yada. And that was for a much smaller restaurant. They are probably super strict about this in bigger restaurants. But hey, let me know. Was the OP a jerk? I relate heavily to the last commenter here because I'm the same way when I have to do big orders for a family or a group of friends. I just want to order a number 1, a number 3. I don't want to do a number 2, hold the onions, add mustard, but no ketchup and make sure there's extra pickles. That might be okay for a significant other, but not a whole group of people. So I can understand the complaints here. At the end of the day, fast food workers are there to do a job, and they just want to get through the day without a hassle. At least that's what I think. That's it for today's video. If you want to make sure you don't miss out on any content, hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell to turn on notifications. If you want to finish listening to all those stories, use the playlist at the top of the description. And if you're someone who live streams and needs copyright-free music, check out the Cream of the Crop music by searching Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever music platform you choose. Remember, it's free.